Hello, welcome to Simple Hacks for Drawing the Head using stills from funny videos. So right away we'll look at this one and then we'll see what it comes from. When you look at a head, the simplest thing is to see its proportions, and if certainly not a circle, when you look at that it's longer than it is wide, you want to see it as a rectangle. That's the first simple step. So you would put in a rectangle on your paper that is maybe approximate. It's never going to be perfect, but it's a start. And then from there, you want to realize some proportions. The eyes are typically halfway from the chin to the top of the head. I know that seems funny, but there's a lot of room in the forehead and then the crown of the head. So they do. And remind yourself to do that, you can make like a crosshairs. So this figure is, this face, it's looking straight ahead. We'll look at it in terms of just a rectangle. And then the next thing is to kind of rough in the outer shape. You see the shape here comes down to like a pointy chin, and it's always the widest just below the eyes because of the cheekbones. So roughing in the chin, cheekbones right below the eyes, and then back in the forehead here with the crown of the head. Then look for the darkest parts of the face, just the darkest, only some edges. You want to get that dark brow, only the lash line on the eye, the two nostrils. And notice where the lips meet is always darkest. There's a shadow under the bottom lip too that helps define this lip, so that's always good. Now you want to put in those things. Here's where the eyes are, so we know we can start with that, and they're going to be about an eye width apart, and then we'll just do the eyebrow right now, trying to kind of look at the shape you see, and then go from there. We see this, I'm sorry, that was the lash. Then we see this brow, and it's quite raised, like looking at this shape. Look at it in relationship to the eye, and she does have an intense look on her face, doesn't she? And there we would, maybe we can start to suggest the eyeball, but just don't suggest too much. Jump down to the nostrils and estimate the length of the nose. Capture the dark part. That's the darkest part there. And then to the mouth, to that line I told you about, where there is this shape where the lips meet. Something like this. And below it, the bottom lip will make this shadow, so right away you can get a sense of this face. Up above this lip, maybe just suggest a tiny bit of the peak of it, but don't go too far. Mainly you want this line where the lips meet. Then go back and start to rework with a little more strength. Always draw light at first with a long point like this, and then start to come back, and when you do it the second time, you really can sort of see it better. You can add a little more detail each time. Don't close out the eyes into a dark circle. Always leave a little light on the eyes by not filling in the page. Then coming back, her brow gets lost in this hair. So the edge of the hair, it has shapes like this. It comes out in space to about here. You're just generalizing. Don't worry about being perfect. And then the top of the head. Now look, see, I broke through this rectangle because in a sense, you're always just guessing, but it leads you in the right direction. So then coming down here, I've got this eyebrow, and I'm looking at how it arched up. She certainly has an expression on her face. And tucking this eye in a little closer to the nose, I look at the width of the bridge of the nose when I do, and start to suggest this lash line stronger. The top lash line is always stronger than the bottom part of the eye. So remember that, and always leave a little light on the eye. And we'll come back down. Here's the nostrils. There's a touch of nostril flesh around the nostrils, and maybe restate them just a little smaller at this time and getting them darker. Then one more time, looking for the dark, very darkest points of this mouth, and getting it to look more like her. And I noticed that as I keep working on it, I can see that these nostrils could go close together, and you will find that difference, that you need to make little changes now and then, but no problem. Just come back to it, and then start to put in just really delicate, don't even press hard, delicate shapes, delicate shadows in the face. I'm reshaping the chin now. a little more like her chin. And do you see, as you work, if you start out really light, then you make these revisions. It's like doing gesture drawing. You're making revisions as you go, and then come back. And so and it's probably close to 5 minutes. I maybe have a little more time, and these will be 5-minute gestures that we do today. So let's just do a couple more hairs. And if you until the ending bell goes off, after the 5-minute bell goes off, you can do as much as you want. So maybe I have a chance to make some contrast in here, some values. Go back to a couple of places. Always keep moving around. You just accent some parts darker than others. And voila, you've got a good start. Maybe the bell went off. Now I also want to talk about another type of face. So let's look at this funny video for a minute. Oops, gotta back that up. There it is. Now let's turn the page, and we're going to get a side view or a 3/4 view. And this is important to understand that here you have foreshortening. The first thing to think about is, where is the difference between the front and the side? The front is up to about the outer edge of this forehead, cheekbone area, right about there, and this the side. So you can represent that by using a cube. Now we can see a little of the top of his head, so we'll show just a little of the top of the cube, and then this front and side of the cube, there's the side, and this will be the side of his face. He's going to fit in here. Notice though, in the side, see how the ear is up high, and then there's this turn in here, so mostly this is all the cranium in the upper part, then the neck is down in here. So you're getting the front of his face, and while the video starts, you should quickly suggest this box type shape, and then draw the features again. So starting with, what does the side of the face look like? And then where's the ear? How much of this? Maybe I have this too wide, so you can check yourself again. It's important that you notice I'm only drawing with a real light touch right now, because it's too early to decide the final proportions, and that's when my lines will go darker. Then getting this shape on his head. There's his forehead. Now his eyes are right about here. That's the halfway point. And then his features, facial features, don't draw a straight line. Actually, the ones coming down here are going to foreshorten. You should make a slight curve. The more it turns away, the more you curve, because this part of his face over here is going to be compressed, and then and foreshortened. So you can tell the difference. This curve will help you place features where they are in the center. So his mouth, the center of his mouth is there. You see the other part compressed. And then up here, the eyes. So let's go back and try to draw like the raised eyebrow, then this lash line over here, more of a bridge of the nose shadow, and then this part of the face starts to be bigger. You can make everything bigger because it's closer. Little bit of a shadow. Always just look for the dark edges. Again, I'm going to put his eye in where it might be, right about there. And then his nose, he's got a furrowed brow. You want to watch for expressions like that too. And then the nose, just start to make this shape a little, because there's a shadow back here, but don't go the whole way because it gets in the light after that. And I'm gonna bring the cheek next to it and start the nose probably about here. You have to keep looking back and forth and estimating distances by looking where things are. And then here's that mouth. Now it's darkest there and on this edge. There's a little bit of a line on the inside of it. And see, I'm just lightly suggesting all this because later on I'll emphasize which lines are dark. And then there's a little bit of the bottom lip. And over here is parts of his beard. Always don't think of anything about but except what you see as dark. Squint if you have to, but see, these are where the shadows are boldest on his beard. But his beard fades away, so my lines will fade away too. Up here they get a little stronger. Maybe I'll just indicate a little bit of a sense of beard on his face and a mustache. There's little bits of the mustache that are darker than others. So don't draw everything, just draw some things. Then the beard is back up here. There's where the neck comes behind, from behind the ear. And then the shoulder over there, the other shoulder over here, but let's stay with the head for now. Then accent the darks that I see in the ear. I see some parts. Do you see it's a little darker there, a little darker in here? So those are the parts I'll just pick out for now. If you're really completing a drawing and going on to a highly detailed drawing, these are things that you come back later, or you can support later with stronger drawings. I want to catch that really amazed look in his eyes if I can. So I'm trying very carefully to go slowly to get there. And here they look like almost they're popping out of his skull, kind of. His eyes are, as he's in shock kind of look. And then back to a little indication of where the hairline is, maybe a tiny bit of shading and some adjusting here and there. Go back through. Never stay in one place too long, because when you move around, you always remember something you did. You look back, you make comparisons, and then you can build it. You can come back through to build and make corrections as you build. And let's assume the 5 minutes is up. So in this workshop, we'll play this video and I'll stop it from time to time and set the timer for 5 minutes, and you can try some of the things that I just talked about.